that as much as there has been a history of harm, there has also always been a history of resistance. And it has always been Black journalists, Black media makers, Black artists in a variety of ways who have been resisting these narratives, these false histories, these stories that are told about our folks and that are told about the folks that we're in community with. And that legacy continues today.
Commissioners, newsflash, are political creations. They're also policy validators, and they are cementers of regulatory legacies. Those of us who walk on concrete or cement know that once that cement is laid, it's firm. Are we willing to do what it takes to chisel to the point where we can lay a different foundation? This foundation, however, will not be rebuilt if we choose to do so with just a singular agency.
If we focus on one particular kind of media at the exclusion of others, if we do not look at the entire communications ecology and how it affects other pieces of how local communities get their information, then we're missing the forest for the trees. The core are there plausible mechanisms to make sure that communities can actually have access to reliable information that they need, have access to voice, and where we can actually fund good journalism in local communities.
One thing that I've noticed is that folks really are motivated to have access to education. They really want to have access to storytelling tools and then also to be able to connect with one another. And these centers, when they function in a very inclusive and a safe space way, can facilitate these types of if you want to look at your democratic communication.
I was seeing and observing in my own research more than a decade ago that the algorithmic dimension of knowledge, information, propaganda, advertising, dissemination was really not understood. In fact, 10 years ago, when I was arguing that algorithms were in fact implicated in things like the rollback of civil rights, the profound misrepresentation of Black people on the internet, the degradation of Black women, LGBTQIA people, that was an impossible argument to make. In fact, it was very difficult. Most people would not take me up on that challenge that I was offering, because people thought that algorithms and artificial intelligence and kind of automated decision-making systems or automated digital systems were purely driven by code, and that code was math, and math therefore could not be racist or sexist or discriminatory. And of course, these hyper-reductionist ways of thinking about the information landscape, the digital information, knowledge, propaganda, advertising landscape as being purely neutral, strictly tool-based, value-free, was to me part of the egregious problem.
I think about, our information systems, right? Recognizing that they're not only complicit in the distribution of white supremacy, but they're mechanizing, right, in its production. They are central to its production, And when we think about that, that is because these systems exist within the context of racial capitalism, right? And that system in which white supremacy and capitalism are mutually supporting, a system in which they derive social and economic value from this particular racial hierarchy. We recognize that media reparations are not only about recouping for past injury, they are also about transforming the current relations of extractive and exploitative power relations, if that makes sense. And they require some specific corrective actions, not just to correct the past, but to prevent the continuation of these practices in the future.